Hello everybody. Today I'll be doing something very similar to my bunker playthrough, in which I'll be reading all the notes in Metro 2033, Last Light, and Exodus. So, I should get started as soon as possible because we have a lot of notes to get through. The first set of notes, as you can see, is from the tower. Prologue. The tunnel grew colder. Miller and I were close to the surface now. Soon we'd climb up into the howling wind, to find our way through whatever nightmares were waiting there. My long journey was nearly at the end, but would I have the courage, the will to see it through? There's nobody among the Order's fighters who'd ever lived at the exhibition. Why would they risk their lives to save us, total strangers to them? What for? Perhaps they, just as I do, believe that the Dark Ones are a threat not just for our God-forgotten backwater station, but for the Metro as a whole. That I don't know. But one thing I know for sure, I can't watch these people and not feel admiration. They couldn't care less they couldn't care less which station we hailed from, which god and which politics we believed. The one thing they actually cared about was that we were human beings and we were in danger. When joining the Order, one vows to protect the Metro, the last refuge of human race, to the end. Some of them believe they can prevail. A lot more think we're all doomed regardless. But they don't even think of laying down their arms and giving up the struggle. Such were Hunter's comrades, and it would be the highest honor for me to become one of them. 8 days earlier. Life was never easy in the tunnels, but it was our home. There was comfort in its routines and seeing the same people day after day. But since the mutant attacks have escalated, fear ruled the station. I had just turned 20, and I could never have imagined what would follow on the morning that my stepfather's friend, Hunter, arrived at the barricade. Excuse me. Day after day, our patrols go out to the northern tunnels, and day after day they return bearing casualties, murdered brutally, inexplicably so. Even more casualties came back alive, but insane. And yet it's only by sending our friends, neighbors, and relatives out there that we can keep the Dark Ones at a distance. When we run out of manpower to stop their attacks far enough, when they arrive at the station itself, we'll be done for. I hear people talking secretly at the station that it's just us prolonging the agony, that there's no hope for salvation. But Sequoia, my father, and the head of the station, still hopes for a miracle. He insists that an old friend of his, Hunter, can save us. Hunter is a member of the Spartan Order, a battle brotherhood sworn protecting the Metro from any and all dangers. There's nothing capable of instilling fear into the hearts of those men. At least there was nothing until the Dark Ones arrived. Chapter 1. Let the journey begin. Hunter did not return. It wouldn't be easy to find an excuse to leave the station and travel to Polis, but I had given my word. I learned the caravan was heading to Riga the next day, and needed guards. I signed on for the ride. The task of defending our home station from the Dark Ones, enemies horrifying, mysterious, and unbeatable, is becoming the sole focus of all of our efforts. We've all but forgotten our old enemies, the Silas, the Watchmen, and if not for Hunter, those beasts would have been unleashed on our hospital. I cringe to think of the carnage that would ensue should Hunter have arrived a mere hour too late. But Hunter arrived at the exhibition just on time. I like to think that was not just blind luck, that it was fate at work, and that it was the same fate that made Hunter choose me to travel to Polis with his report on the Dark Ones. It seems that I've dreamt of visiting Polis, the great, legendary center of the Metro, the center of our civilization, my whole life. But a chance to actually make that dream come true just had come by now of all times, when my home station desperately heeds every fighter it can field. Though I have the right to abandon my adopted father, my friends in an hour of danger, where is my place? Next to them on the barricades or at the far stations where Hunter sends me? I don't know for sure, but I still set out on a journey. I'd like to believe that I am summoned by fate. It was the first time I had left the safety of my home station. It troubled me that I haven't told my stepfather the truth. I would not be heading straight back from Riga, but Hunter was depending on me. Riga station was only the first stop on my journey, but the caravan went no further, so before parting ways we drank to celebrate our survival. The vodka didn't drown my fear of traveling on to Polis alone, but I was about to find myself an unexpected and notorious partner. What was that? Strange shadows and voices, whispers, weeps. They were silent, and yet they still resound inside my head. There are a lot of tunnels in the metro associated with terrifying legends. I've never heard anything quite like this, and I hope I'll never anything like this from now on. We've got incredibly lucky in escaping that place with our lives. Riskaya. Back at home at the exhibition, we always consider the station dwellers somehow unlucky. They always used to be in trouble, be it their pigs catching some mysterious bug, their tunnel ceilings leaking, or their merchants getting too immersed in the celebration of a good deal at the market and drinking all the money away. The people of Riga are nice and hospitable, but they are clumsy. We used to pity them and poke fun at them for a bit, for we were on top of things. We, at the exhibition, knew life, and now I actually envy them. They live in peace. They haven't even, I think they're supposed to say, heard of the Dark Ones. Even those who did never believed what they heard. But if I fail, the Dark Ones will wipe this station out in an instant, and these happy, clumsy people with their peaceful, clumsy life will be gone. There will be blood and emptiness. I've got to hurry. There's a saying in the metro, nothing worse than a chance fellow traveler, but nobody else to rely on either. This Bourbon guy surely is strange. Why would he need me? He obviously knows these tunnels like the back of his hand. Somebody told him that shit does not affect me, and he bought it? I don't believe in myself, and he does? Well, no use thinking about it. I'd be quite happy if he just gets me past the market without trying to quietly snuff me in a dark tunnel. As I entered the abandoned tunnels with Bourbon, I wondered if I had been wrong to trust him. But the station gates were still sealed, and there was no telling when I'd have another chance to leave Riga. Bourbon is definitely not as simple as he tries to seem. Yes, he is rude, and his sense of humor is rough at best. But the things he tells me about his exploits, and even more, the things he prefers not to tell, prove he is way too sharp for a regular smuggler. And his knowledge of the situation, not just at the nearest stations, but even the ring as a whole, is mind-boggling. All the passages and tunnels, even the long abandoned ones, are well known to him. He is quite at home in combat, which means he saw his share of dangerous encounters. He's definitely much more than a regular smuggler. Of that, I am sure. These tunnels are definitely cursed. Something really is happening there. Those voices, perhaps they are just illusions, but I am sure that if we didn't get dragged out of there then, we would have stayed there forever. It happened so that I saved Bourbon, a stranger to me, while somebody else, whom I was a stranger to, saved me. We are used to not trusting others implicitly, but if each of us fights on his own, we're going to be nothing more than a free meal for the mutants. Meal? And still, I'm not sure whom I am afraid of more. I'd never seen a market like this. You could buy almost anything. But Bourbon owed money to the Hansa Centuries, and was anxious to leave. Yes, I'd never get here without Bourbon. He's at home everywhere, and he knows everyone. Sure, as I suspected, the locals did have some old gripes with him, but it looks like Bourbon sorted it out, which is hardly surprising since Prospect Mira belongs to Hansa, a trading union of the Circle Line stations, the richest of the metro states. The citizens of Hansa, their wealth insured through trade with other states and free stations, understandably value profit above anything. Excuse me. I think Bourbon had betrayed their trust before, and now he surely had to promise he'd pay them back with interest. The only problem is that there's a saying, better to be indebted to the devil than to Hansa. He's going to have one tough time paying them back. Filters. It seems like the stalkers never talk about anything else. They keep droning about filters being all but unobtainable now. Not just the unused, but even adequately refitted. Adequately refitted. That the refitted, being the bastards that they are, don't put enough coal into them, and that you have to reach for a new one as soon as you finish attaching the previous to your mask. But whatever they say about the filters, stalkers value them more than the bullets. No wonder that, too, you might sneak by on the surface without ever being found out by the mutants, but there's no escaping the poisoned air. When we emerged into the ruins of Moscow, I felt both fear and sorrow, but after a life underground, I also saw strange beauty in the dark skies and frozen landscape. So, that's the dead city, grunted Bourbon. Welcome home, Artyom. From the very day I ended up in the metro, I've been dreaming of going back up, seeing that magical city of my dreams again, the living city of my childhood memories. But what I actually see on the surface is an apparition, a nightmare. I can't unrecognize it. I can't believe I used to live here. How my mother and I lived here. How happy we were. Even her face. Can't remember any of it. How I hoped that her face, her smile would come back even for a tiniest moment when I went up here. It didn't happen. I'm all alone and I have no home but Metro. It's so strange to think that man used to be the sole master of this world. Now is it is owned by totally different creatures, and the sorry few remaining of us have to hide like rats, like cockroaches in our holes in the ground. The fields are burned out and will never bear crops again. The forests stand withered, blackened, and dead. The rivers are like dead, congealed blood. Even the air itself is capable of killing a man in mere minutes. Our cities are in ruins and populated by monsters. We did all we could to never be able to come back up here again. All that we amount to now is mere marauders, searching hurriedly like thieves through the rubble that used to be our homes and steal anything that wasn't stolen through these 20 years back to our hideout, our metro. God, am I glad to see another living soul. Even that soul appears to be Bourbon, and it looks like he was happy to see me, too. And we aren't friends or anything, just chance co-travelers. Here on the surface, you can't help but feel that we, people, have got to keep together, to rely on each other, because everything out there is hostile, lethally dangerous, alien. As we went underground, it struck me that my city was now a foreign and hostile place. I felt safe here, in the darkness of the metro more so, when Bourbon claimed to have friends at Dry Station. Are there any loan sharks in the whole wide metro Bourbon doesn't owe money to, or dangerous kingpins he never crossed? Damn, this guy has the whole world on his tail. And this time it seems like his luck has run out. I don't care about him, at least I shouldn't. Yet for some reason I can't just leave him to his own devices. Sukhoi, my stepfather, once told me, you save someone once, you have to keep saving them forever. You can't help feeling responsible for someone you didn't let die. They grow into you. That's why he took me in when my mother died, and probably that's why I can't leave Bourbon now. It seems that men like Bourbon are born with a noose on their necks. They spend their lives walking the edge, risking everything every day, and they think they can keep it up forever. But you can't cheat death. Make a habit out of walking the abyss edge. One day you fall. Why am I telling myself all of this? To persuade myself that I am not guilty of his death? That he had it coming anyway, sooner or later, because he made his own fate? No. I'm doing this to drown out that little voice in my head that keeps nagging that I could have saved him. Could I have changed his life somehow? He was not such an evil man after all. It's never us, it's the world we live in. And what right does Khan have to judge him anyway? To be a little bit particular, in the actual book, when Bourbon does die, Artyom is very guilty about it, because in both the game and the book, Bourbon actually promised his AK to Artyom once they made their trip. I remember faintly. I'm gonna have to read the books again because they're really good, even though they're like, oh, Jesus. But anyway, after Khan dies, Artyom's really not happy with it because, he's gonna be left for the rats, he doesn't get a proper burial, stuff like that. But Khan, being goated, we love Khan, we dap up our boy Khan, already has some of his guys haul away the body for burial, and essentially tells Artyom, like, don't feel bad for taking the AK. If it was promised to you, it was promised to you, and if he's dead, he's not using it anymore. Sorry, let me continue reading. Khan's appearance caught me by surprise, although while fighting the bandits, I did sense someone helping me from the shadows. Khan assured me that Bourbon's fate was not tied to my own, but I regretted his death. I'm used to danger, used to the fragility of human life. I saw with my own eyes monsters that shouldn't exist. I walked the ruins of a city populated by the dead, but all of that was real, conceivable. Things going on around Khan, on the other hand, are way out of my reach. I feel uncomfortable around him, even scared when he's around. Everything, all I know about the world, people, death, even myself, starts seeming nonsensical. I have no point of reference, nobody to rely on but Khan himself, another random encounter, or perhaps not so random after all. There are but a few scraps of memories, like faded pictures, remaining of my life in the surface. Pretty sure that should say on the surface. But I don't remember the trains capable of running the tracks, filling the tunnels with their noise and lights, the windows full of smiling human faces. For me, the trains are just wrecks of the old world, carriages we live in, their complex machinery dismembered to make our impotent trinkets. Our new world is built out of the debris of the old one. The ancestors are not quite dead. It's as if they're still... That's not the right icon you used to say there. Still around. Invisible, always watching us, unable to find their peace. To say the truth, I first took Khan for a madman. Then I got scared of him. Now I admire him. There are things in the metro that eyes can't see, but that does not mean they are not real. If Khan didn't take me through these strange reaches of the metro, if he didn't help me cross the invisible hurdles, didn't warn me of the mysterious dangers, my journey would have ended long ago. It's no wonder that I believed him and told him my story. I have so many questions for him, and he seems to have all the answers. And I apologize for coughing and stuff so much. I'm a little stuffy nose because it wants stop snowing over here. Khan led me into Cursed Station. The name was no accident. Its people were locked in an endless war for survival. Once, this used to be a regular station, lived in, even prosperous. One of those stations where not only heavily armed fighters can survive, but also old men and women and even children. Then the mutants came as if from nowhere. They were innumerable. The Cursed, sure, then it was still called its old name, fought back with all it had, but the means proved inadequate. The defenders were forced to abandon all their roadblocks in the tunnels, one after another. Then they barricaded the main platform and had their last stand there. They fought to the last child they were able to evacuate, to the neighbor's station. The last old lady carried there, to the last bullet. And when the bullets were gone, those of the barricades all stayed there. Then the Cursed Station got its name, from the saved wives of the children of those who'd stay there forever. And that is what awaits our exhibition if I don't pull my task off, and perhaps not just the exhibition, but the whole of Metro. If I were good at editing, I would absolutely record small segments to play along with the reading of notes, but I'm not that baller, so Armory Station was where most of the weapons in the Metro were made. There had been an arms factory located above, and after the nukes fell, many of the workers settled here. I was looking for Andrew the Smith, but he found me first. There are many in the Metro who hate the Reds because they are afraid of them. The Reds always go hungry, even though they work around the clock. They are told they toil for a better future, but year after year their lives get even more miserable. They fight with abandon, as if not afraid of death at all, and their commanders just throw them away, piling their bodies up to block enemy gun emplacements, spending their lives as if their charges were immortal. But they are mortal, and they die of exhaustion, of overworking, of bullets fired by their enemies and their own commissars ordered to shoot those retreating. They are told they are superior, that they are made of steel, not flesh, and that is why I pity them. What do they live and die for? The idols of the past are long gone, but they are kept in the dark about it. The slogans they communicate with are meaningless in the new world. They are prohibited from speaking or even thinking freely. Anyone asking questions is deemed a traitor. Anyone who says life's better outside the red line is a spy and a saboteur. You have to hide everything human about you and become just like the rest of them. But there are people like Andrew the blacksmith here. People who refuse to abandon hope and who persevere. And if I were in his shoes, I'd be long gone. Why is he still here? Is he afraid of being shot making his escape? I was not wrong about Andrew. I just grossly underestimated him. He's not afraid of running, he just does things that take much more guts than that. Andrew helps others escape the red line. Uh-oh, they didn't capitalize red, uh-oh. Anyway. Risking his own life every minute. He and his friends save lots of refugees, using a network of abandoned passages and forgotten tunnels, which the Reds are still ignorant about. The refugees usually take this literal, and at the same time figurative underground railroads to get from the Red Line to the Metro proper. But for me, Andrew was working it in reverse. I need to get to the front lines of the never-ending war between the Red Line and the Reich. I'm taking the train which is delivering a fresh load of cannon fodder to the meat grinder. The important part is to know when to jump off. Even the apocalypse didn't stop us from killing one another over ideology. I was about to go to the front line between the Nazis and the Communists. I've heard they once fought another war that the Nazis lost. The Red Line has no worse enemy than the Fourth Reich. They say they've been in a war for 100 years. Different nations, as if urged by demons, choose a side in this conflict, and sometimes, like in the Metro, split and fight till both sides are destroyed. The Reich is supposed to be the complete opposite of the Red Line, but why does it look so similar? Poverty and hunger, forced labor and endless rallies, rambling of the politicians and empty eyes of the plebeians. They also talk in slogans, and you can't doubt what you're told here either. They do believe a different thing here, though. Supposedly, it's enough for all mutants to be eradicated for things to magically fix themselves. Racial purity is no longer relevant. These Nazis are all for genetic purity, and since the norm is defined by the politicians, anyone can be deemed mutant. Sorry, I just went to spit in my mouth. It's the stormtroopers who ultimately get to decide who gets to live and who dies. And this fight can last forever. And they treat the spies the same way they do at the Red Line, so I can't allow myself to get captured. When I came to my senses, I lost all hope. Nazi prisoners were used for slave labor or target practice. Now see, this is where it gets different. If I am correct, in the first book, Artyom is abducted by, the Nazis, and he and some other dudes, is it Artyom? I believe it's Artyom, but he goes through some crazy stuff. Like, I'm talking, just read the books. I really do recommend it. If you play the games and read the books, you're gonna look in, like, utter shock. And they call this a plan. The tunnel rats would already be dining on our bones if we didn't get insanely lucky. There were just two parts in Ullman's plan, insanity and surprise. Nobody among the Nazis expected us to capture their rail car, neither did they expect a lightning backstabbing strike. I feel no remorse. The times of courteous warfare is long past. If we have to backstab to survive, we here in the Metro do so without blinking an eye, and then strike once more. The important thing is to keep your own back covered. Although it's supposed to be, I want to say covered, but I'm not exactly a very speech-focused guy. Sorry, this cough is killing me. Depot. After our firefight with the Nazi trolleys, it seemed it seemed we would have an easy road ahead. Once again, I was wrong. An awful death. My companions are dying one after another, and I can't do a thing to save them. I actually feel they sacrificed themselves just to keep me moving forward. But am I worth that? I myself would readily die if that would get Hunter's mission completed. But do I have the right to make the others pay the price? Who gave me this right if I do have it? Was it Hunter? Was it the Lord? Or did I just usurp it? I just don't know anymore. After Pavel's death, I was on my own. Somehow, I had to reach Black Station. Oh, they spelled Ullman wrong. He's missing his H. Haha. Ullman would meet me there and take me to Polis. I'm sorry, I'm like hacking a lot right now. Here, I feel just like back home at the exhibition. These people, just like we, are hanging on to their station, to their simple homesteads, their meaningless subterranean life, the bleak future, as if it has salvation in stock for them. All in vain. The best they can hope for, the best we can hope for, is a brief respite before we're all engulfed in eternal shadow. And still, they don't surrender. I should go too. Time is running short. I am wading through a literal swamp of human blood. We kill other people so easily. We kill them for a place to live in, for a bite of meat, for an abstract idea. Where is my phone? There it is. Let me get in my bed because my back is starting to kill me now. Blah 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 blah. Let me find it again. Our whole civilization was built on human bones, and even after we've taken it apart down to its foundations, pushed to the brink of extinction by the horrific abominations created by this new world, we still continue killing each other. Those who died today probably had families too. Friends, hell, their parents might still be alive. They died protecting the station from the mutants, not other people, but seen through the iron sights, the beast and the humans alike look so much like paper cutout targets. And here I am, trying to save the people from the beast, just to give us another shot at finishing themselves off. The children of Metro, sometimes I feel that they, who were born underground, who have never seen the sun, are a whole new species. This child has just been through hell. He stayed alive by sheer luck, and he's not falling apart in the slightest. He speaks calmly and rationally. I remember the day the station where my mother and I lived. Then, right after we went down to the metro, was attacked by rats. When Mother died, and the rats, and I was saved by Sukhoi. He says I didn't talk for several months after that, and I remember nothing about that time. Nothing at all. Oh, this little boy, perhaps the metro will temper us. Perhaps the generations raised without the sun, but also without fear, will claim the earth, if I give them a chance. She offers me some bullets for saving her child, as if I had a choice. But apparently what used to be natural before looks strange now, and what would gross out the world then does not raise any brows today. What do? Decline the reward and insult her? Take the reward and acknowledge that I saved a child just to rake up a reward? The days when a human life, a child's life, was priceless and couldn't be paid for are long gone. Today we all have a price. The bullets I'm given for saving the boy seems like a good deal. Usually the price for a life is only one bullet, just enough to take it. I went up again, to the gloomy charm of post-apocalyptic Moscow. I was warned in Hull Station about a new squad of Nazi Rangers on the surface. I remember how happy I was to see Bourbon in the empty city. Another living human in this land of the dead. Where did that feeling go? Here on the surface, among the dead stones and petrified bones, danger oozes from everything. The mutant animals, the irradiated soul, the poisoned air. And despite all that, there's no greater danger here than man. As soon as we pry a tiny piece of living space from this hostile new world, we will build a fortress there, not a peaceful colony. The Nazis were in a hurry to finish off the defenders of the cursed station. They weren't even prepared to wait till the animals do this for them. Of course, they need the station. They need the living space. But whom would they populate the station liberated this way with? So few children are born in the metro, and those who actually grow up are even fewer. Sequoia once told me that 15 million people used to live in Moscow alone, and now there are not more than 50,000 of us in the metro, perhaps on all the planet. And yet we continue murdering each other with gust, as if we still numbered the millions. Only ashes remain of the 6 billion people that once populated the earth. Ashes and dust. They are all around. They crunch beneath our boots, they disguise themselves as sand and clay, dust and snow, and we ritually water them with fresh blood, as if hoping to grow some crops out of such soil. It was clear that Black Station was occupied by fascists, but Ullman had said he'd wait for me there. I had to risk it. We all wear impenetrable armor. Even after taking off one's vest or all the clothes together, one still stays clad in head to toe. We are afraid of opening up to people, showing our feelings, afraid of someone understanding our thoughts. We hide our faces wearing gas masks, but there's more mask beneath that one. Ullman, the indomitable optimist, the light-hearted jester, I had only seen his real face when his comrade died. Tired to death, almost desperate. That's how he looked, for only a second. A moment later he had his armor back, and it was his regular funny self again. I didn't try to get him to open up again. It's not the Metro way, and I'm certainly not opening up for anyone myself. Metro kills the belief in miracles, but teaches you to live without hope, and still, I can't find any explanation for me being able to successfully negotiate the labyrinth of the Black Station, full of Nazis, mind you, short of a miracle, as if I was led by someone. Was it my stupid, undying hope, or perhaps fate itself? It's hard to describe my feelings at that moment. Exhausted, yes, but joyful. I had made it. Once I delivered Hunter's message, the rescue of my home station could be decided by those stronger and wiser than I, and my task would be over. For as long as I really remember myself, I always had the dream of visiting Polis. The hard and hopeless life underground wears man down, makes him a savage, a beast. And only in Polis does he manage to keep a resemblance of the great people of the past, the ones who had the planet in their pocket. Polis is the last refuge of the scientists, the educators, the artists, everyone who'd be deemed useless by the other stations, the last citadel of culture and civilization, and the stories told in the Metro insist that electric lights were on there day and night through, just like it used to be in our past. That's never to return. Polis did deliver on all the outrageous expectations I had. Vast, shining, clean to perfection, a real underground city. Its 4 stations united into one rhyme with its halls of the ancient temples I saw in history books. By just being here, you start to feel this incredible energy. Start to believe that humanity will once more rise from its knees. If there's a force in the Metro capable of saving the exhibition from the Dark Ones, it must reside here. Who said that stupid and pompous phrase about responsibility coming with power? I thought that Polis was the pinnacle of all power in the Metro. Its guards armed to the tooth, its incredible reputation among any factions and stations, its stores of food and ammunition, its wealth and prosperity. Polis is the hub of the universe, but apparently this hub does not care one bit for some backwater station. The council didn't even want to waste time hearing us out. but after reluctantly agreeing to do so, it just lazily stamped "declined" on the desperate plea of the exhibition. And it wasn't just my request that was declined. They did it to Miller, the head of the Rangers, or, the Spartan Order. I thought it was all over. If not for Miller and his people, the Rangers are not called an order for nothing. They are a veritable knightly order, a state within a state, a brotherhood of people sworn to oaths, adherence to which they value higher than their lives. And the Rangers are sworn to protecting the Metro from all the dangers threatening its dwellers, no matter what station they live at or what they believe in. The Council's decision shocked me, but Miller's plan gave me hope. Once more I climbed up to the bones of Moscow to search for the secret of D6 and a way to awaken the horde of missiles. The Rangers call their base Sparta, and themselves, either jokingly or seriously, Spartans. They do fit the part, mind you, ready to die rather than surrender. They are also few, just like their historical counterparts. Each of them is a seasoned fighter, with 10 regular soldiers, but they don't just have the manpower to fight a full-blown war or stand against the legions of the Dark Ones. That's why Miller's plan is our only chance. Find a still operable missile launch site, command the missiles, and burn the Dark One's nest to cinders. If we pull it off, our casualties should be minimal, while my home station and whole metro with it saved. Seems like a perfect plan, but something is worrying me. There seems to be a weak spot in it. Something is not right. I can't shake the feeling that we're making a mistake. I read and reread all the books we had at the station until they fell apart. I always rushed to the traders coming home from the far stations to be the first to try and barter for the few greasy tomes they had brought. Even though nobody else would ever want them here, I read anything. When you live 60 meters underground, books become your only windows. I worshipped books. So try and imagine my feelings at the sight of the great library, the shrine to all the important books ever written in human history. But I must not forget the reason that brought me to this place. If I let myself get distracted, start browsing these half-rotten, moldy tomes, the library will swallow me up whole and forever. Depository. I was alone again, and soon I would look into the eyes of fear, literally. Knowledge is power, a worn-out slogan. Before the war, nobody probably ever thought of its actual meaning anymore. Knowledge was available to anyone. My stepfather told me a portable phone could answer any question at a flick of a finger. Nobody cared much about studying, searching for new information, or remembering it anymore. And then, in a singular moment, all the information vanished. The phone lines went dead, the phone batteries discharged, and those who were reluctant to admit knowledge into their heads were left with empty heads. Knowledge became power, a precious commodity again. Too precious. Here in the great library, more knowledge about the earth and people is probably stored there than anywhere else, but each letter read from its vast vault has to be paid for in blood. The underground depository was a frightening place. I had no idea where or what to search, but I refused to think that all my efforts would come for nothing. What are these librarians? We gave these creatures this funny name just because they were way too horrible to remain unnamed. One thing is certain, these are no mere beasts. I have no idea the clay radiation molded these abominations out of, but they are definitely too smart for regular mutated animals. I see a glitter of intelligence in their eyes, and we don't know what it is that they see in our eyes. But if you don't run, don't fight, and just keep staring directly at one of these, something happens, and you get to keep your life. Even though one of these can crush an experienced and well-armed fighter like a bug. Could it be when looking into human eyes they recall, however vaguely, that they were once humans too? I had found the D6 documents, but Miller had not yet returned. Without his help, I wasn't certain I could get out of the library alive, but everything depended on it. Whew, I'm getting a little dizzy. What's going on? Excuse me, let me put my headphones up real quick. Now, I will be honest, the microphone might start going schizo, but I will see. That'll be a me problem. Khan, I owe everything to him. If not for him, I'd rot in that anomaly tunnel. I'd never be able to reach the library. If not for him, Miller would never pay attention to me. I don't really know what kind of man he is. I don't even know if he's a human at all. Yes, I was sent on this path by Hunter, but it's Khan who walks me through it. It's weird, but even Miller's subordinates, who seem to acknowledge no authority other than their indomitable colonels, pay heed to this wandering philosopher and believe him. He has some mysterious power over human souls. I wish I could meet him again. I have too many questions nobody else can answer. Why a church? Is it just the sturdiness of its walls, or do Miller's fighters believe it could protect them better than anything else? It's weird that even those who stand firmly on the ground, looking death in the face, and by all accounts must be quite used to it, still seek protection from heavens. I would say heaven, because they're Eastern Orthodox, I believe. Yeah. Rangers don't speak of it, but I saw many of them wearing undercloth crosses. I heard someone tell that the world turned inside out after the apocalypse, and while hell ended under the skies, the people had to find refuge where hell used to be. That's why there's supposedly no better refuge on the surface than the old churches. I don't know about that, but these icons and frescoes adorning the church walls instill some kind of calmness even in me. As if we, the sinners who had the divinely created world destroyed, can still hope for absolution, can still pray for salvation. Dark tunnels, wheels rattle, and the smell of death. That's how our journey to D6 began, but our goal seemed closer now. My strange dreams still continue. I'm no longer sure they are just dreams anymore, and it never happened to me before. The dreams seem more like visions, and they become more and more vivid, still holding sway over my conscience even after I wake up. Even I still can't understand their meaning. Yet time after time, I wake up with the same heavy feeling, the premonition of a catastrophe, one brought about by my own actions. The chaos of the tunnels was locked away behind the airlock gates. They seemed invulnerable, and at that moment, so did my comrades. Everything seems to go well. Ullman keeps up his jokes, Miller keeps threatening him with extra time on duty. The goal is close by, and nothing can stop us now. We win every encounter. Hunter was right when he said that there never was and never will be a more terrifying predator on Earth than human is. I didn't really cause their death, and I still feel guilty. I was too eager to celebrate the easy time we had with the last leg of our journey, and that brought about trouble. I couldn't be in the right place in the right time, couldn't help my comrade in time, bringing him back from the brink of death. Jesus Christ, they have so many spelling mistakes. I understand it's a Ukrainian group who did it, but like still. I brought these brave souls into this adventure that happened to become their last. Our team, small as it was, is growing even smaller. Even I look at my palms in the dancing light of a bonfire. It seems they are covered with blood. I sure heard stories about the metro builders were not the first digging tunnels and galleries in the ground deep under Moscow. Hidden passages were being built under the city in the times of the first Tsars, but the workers who built those reportedly encountered even older caves and burrows, built in times immemorial. The nameless creators of those vanished millennia ago, leaving only endless corridors, going from nowhere to nowhere again behind. And now, perhaps 100 generations later, I, the last man alive, am tentatively walking along the same path. We were close now to D6. We were close to D6 now. It was hard to believe that we'd found the legendary command center. But was it worth so many lives? Soon we'd know the answer. It's incredible, but these long-abandoned galleries have preserved the technology in them much better than any of the populated parts of the metro. The monorail, opening its doors for the first time in decades, started and carried us to our goal completely smoothly, as if serviced the day before. There is truth in saying that time eats away metal and stone, man and its creations, but our fathers built for the ages, and if their work isn't destroyed by their own offspring, it's bound to stay there for thousands of years. I still find it hard to believe that all of this was built by humans, and not giants from the ancient fairy tales. And it's not just me, even the larger-than-life, ever-jovial Ullman noticeably shrunk when he considered the sheer size of this place. What was this complex supposed to be? What was it built for? Where did its personnel go, and why hasn't anyone in the metro ever heard of it? A carpet of spent cartridges? What? A carpet of spent cartridges on the floor. One would think a fierce battle took place here, but there are no bodies or bones. What could have transpired here? What are these creatures, and can they really be called that? Did they emerge in the ruins of the old world by themselves, or were they created? There's nothing natural in them. They are reverting at all levels. They must be wiped out before they destroy us, just like the Dark Ones. Either this world will become ours again, or the creatures that entered it after us will destroy us all and continue driving the evolution forward with us, becoming a minor side note on its pages. We have no choice. We have to win back the fief of our ancestors with fire and sword. We will claim what is our rightful inheritance. And we will win this final battle or perish. Once again, we're going to the surface, and this time we come prepared. Ullman's joking about our strides making the earth tremble, but I feel like actually feel it tremble. Wow. After all, we had come through. Nothing and nobody will stop us. The enemy is going down, turned into dust and ashes, the way we also treated our enemies. One thing eludes me. Why don't the Dark Ones try and stop us? Are we coming straight into their ambush? The weird premonitions still pestering me are becoming even more sinister. Miller and I left the train, then climbed to the tunnel to the Korolev Performance Hall. We are so close to Ostakino? Yeah, tower now. In the frozen streets, we joined the other rangers in the furious battle that began my story. One labored step after another, we're rising up the tower. We come from underground and we're storming the heavens. Lead clouds all around like impenetrable walls. The steps are badly decayed and crumble beneath our feet. The wind seems to be strong enough to peel our skins off our bones. We are coming into the heavens. Our place is down there. I'm all alone now. I have to do the most critical part myself. Nobody to shove the responsibility onto. Nobody to ask for help. The fate of the human race is in my hands, as well as the fate of the Dark Ones. And with each step taken, my assuredness and justice of my actions dwindles. With each step, I'm asking myself more and more questions, the kind of those which could be answered by Khan only. But Khan isn't here, either. I'm alone on top of the world, and I can see things I couldn't see from anywhere else. Hear things I couldn't even imagine. I feel the presence of the Dark Ones. I hear them. Strange images crowd my mind. Echoes of alien thoughts echo in my head. I know the Dark Ones can enter the minds of men, driving their victims insane. Could this be what's happening to me? I must make it. I must stay sane. I must target the missiles. I hope I can. But yeah, that's every note for this part of the game. Ooh, Metro gameplay. Ooh, Metro gameplay. Do I have like any bombs or anything? I don't know. But yeah, just a little Metro gameplay. Woohoo, 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 ah. I gotta at least end this off with killing these humans, because that'd be awesome. Where's Bourbon? Oh, 360 no scope!